Hello, hello, hello. It has been a while. I have been busy. I got married this summer. And honestly, that's barely scratching the surface. But nevertheless, I was very pleased to receive a call from Mr. Andy Andras last month, personally demanding that we do a podcast with the 2023 Skate Across America Relay team. Needless to say, I was honored to accept his demands. This conversation was great. It was really great, actually. Skate trips are amazing, and skate trips aren't complete without good friends to share the experience with. It was clear when listening to these guys speak that they were some good friends on a skate trip. For the uninformed, the team was made up of 4 skaters: Andy Andras, Rick Stubblefield, Paul Kent, and Miles Kipper. The team was formed by Jack Smith, a longtime cross-country skateboard veteran. Jack is no stranger to the open road and crossing the United States on a skateboard. He had first completed a cross-country ride in 1976, many moons before I was born, and I'm sure many of you as well. Jack is truly a legend in distance skateboarding. He actually wrote a book about it. It's called With No Direction Home, and it's set to come out in the next few months, so you should definitely check that out. The team used a relay method, more on this later, to cover massive distances every day. Such a task, as you may imagine, is burdened with its fair share of logistical challenges, in addition to the obvious physical ones that you're going to face. It took a full team of not just skateboarders, but also members of the support crew, sponsors from all over, kind passersby, and one not-so-friendly police officer to get these guys from one coast to the other. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did.
Should we kick this off officially, or?
Yeah,
let's kick it off. Yeah. Why don't we actually first go around the room and around the virtual room and just give us your name, because some people might not know who you are, and where you are, and maybe a fun fact, bonus points if nobody else knows the fun fact in this room. And then first time skateboarding. So like who you are, where you are, first time skateboarding, and then anything else you want to add. And we'll start with Miles.
Oh, I was the first one in here. Perfect. Hello, everyone. I'm Miles Kipper. I am a Minneapolis-based skater, but still. My interesting fact about myself is, I guess the year after the push, I signed up for an Instagram contest and won an award or won a scholarship to take part in a polar expedition training course with a bunch of other brown people. Spent multiple weeks sleeping on the ice, and it was a lot like living in the van, honestly, except for it smelled less bad. And it was cool.
That's the cold.
This trip opened many doors for me. And my first time skateboarding meaningfully was when I was probably 8 and visiting my cousin in Florida. And he had this big generic pintail, and he got some thick, absolutely worthless treaded off-road tires for it. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So I bought myself a skateboard and rode it down a hill and crashed immediately and ended up laying on a pile of fire ants. But
wow.
I'm still here.
Keep going. Yeah, that's amazing.
Popcorn to somebody else.
Or popcorn, Rick.
Well, hey, I'm Rick Stubblefield, aka Pickle Rick. But yeah, I learned how to skateboard. It was, way back in 1976. My family moved from Juneau, Alaska back to Salem, Oregon. And a little buddy of mine was cruising down the street. Oh, Mikey Biggie. He was cruising down the street on the skateboard. And I don't know if I'd ever even really seen anyone riding a board at that point. It was just some clunker Nash crappy board. And I just could not. I chased him down. And what are you doing? What are you doing? What is that? And it was a couple days later, I learned how to ride, and I was heading down to the store for my own little cheap skateboard, and upgraded a bit from that first one. It was pretty bad, but yeah, I skated for a few years, and I kind of did similar to what I do now. I was always the guy that just wanted to get some distance and skate around from here to there. And then I kind of dropped it, didn't really skate for quite a while until I think it was about 2006, my brother passed away, and I was kind of bummed out, kind of on a bum trip. And a friend of mine from Oregon, Brent Finberg, he gave me uh, uh, a deck that a friend of his made, and that was it, man. It was kind of a banana board, thing. I put some 150s on it and just had a blast though. I was like, man, this is the best, this longboard thing. So then I found out about, IDSA doing some racing, and I was sold, went and did my first race, Push in the Woods 2016, and just got soaked, had a horrible time as far as the weather went. I was just drenched, but was hooked on the racing thing. So that was kind of how I got back into skating was IDSA.
I love it. It's awesome. Who's next? Paul, why don't you go?
Okay. Hi, I'm Paul Kent, I guess. Yeah. And I'm from Canada. I grew up in Eastern Canada, close to Toronto, in a place called Cambridge. And I started skating there. I was an observed bike trials guy, obstacle course bike guy. But my friends owned a skate shop, and they were always trying to get me to help them film their videos. And then they put me on a longboard, and I had to follow them down a hill. Kind of got hooked. So that's sort of how I started. And then I would work the night shift in the factory, kind of the town over, and there's no bus that ran when I got off of work. So I'd bring my longboard to ride home because it was faster than my bicycle, because my bike was made for jumping on things and pedal kicking. So I could skate faster than I could ride my bike. So that's how I started skating distances, I guess. And then when I couldn't afford to get to a push race in Vancouver one year, I sold backpacking gear. I spent a bit of time in the Army, so I put a backpack on and loaded it up with a bivy bag and a foil blanket. And I skated to Vancouver and did pretty good at the push race. I was pretty tired, though, when I got there. And that was when I learned how to push with my other leg. I just made sure I held myself to 50-50 the whole way across BC. And made it in time for the race. Did well. And I guess that made me one of the two people, I think, that started skating with backpacks, skatepacking. So
Cool.
Then it was a year later, I think, and then I was a year and a half later, and I was in Peru with Adam, Colton, and my friend Aaron.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are familiar with your YouTube presence for sure.
Maybe, I don't know. But I guess my last real push race would have been 2013 Push in the Woods. That was when I kind of retired from push racing. Yeah.
But you made it to Ultra Skate recently.
Yeah, I was there. When was that? Like 2 or 3 years ago? Just during the end of the pandemic. I was there for that. Yeah. That was sort of hey, do you want to do this? I was like, yeah, but I can't practice. It's minus 42 outside. Like that could be Fahrenheit. It's the same. Minus 40, it's the same. So, yeah. Yeah. So I just went and goofed off. Anyway, Andy's up next, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody knows that guy.
Live in Miami Beach. Let's see. I started skateboarding as a kid. I think probably 12 years old. I started noticing. I was living in Spain at the time. My father was in the service. He was stationed there. The American kids on base. Started seeing this is probably the late 80s, so it was another resurgence of a lot of the vert skating, and Tony Hawk and Mark Anthony Gator, and those guys were all the top. So so we started making half pipes and skating half pipes and stuff, and then transitioned later into the early 90s when it went to all street skating. So just whatever. I've been around through the eras of the different things, and just wound up on longboards and wound up distance skating. That's where I evolved to with it. It's funny that Max, you said, tell us a fun fact. And it's funny because my number one drop on a fun fact on any kind of like podcast or any kind of interview or whatever I do, I always go, I can skateboard for 24 hours. What is that? Tell us about this sport, whatever, and I'm like, oh fuck, I got nothing to tell you guys on this side. Like now as a skateboarder, tell me a fun fact. I'm like, I don't know. So anyways, but yeah, that's it, man.
Cool.
So here you go. Got the
Yeah. So
relay team.
we've got the Push Across America team, the relay team. Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about sort of overview, like what, where, when, and why of this whole thing, because there's some intricacies around like how you guys did it, right? Involving like the leapfrog relay system. There's the why, like why did you decide to do this? What was the motivation? What was the route, and how did you decide the route? Things like that, and then other questions like, did you hate each other? Who smelled the worst? Shit like that. So I think some of those other questions you guys can kind of answer as we talk. But first, let's just talk like when did this happen? I think it was 2023, right? Is that correct?
Let's
Yeah.
see. We
We
have a
started
date.
June 19th of 2023.
Yeah, because we started doing posts on the Instagram page, which is the Push Skate Relay, was our Instagram page, and the first post on there was June 9th, and we were already kind of announcing sponsors that were helping to get us, to get us some funding to get across the United States. So that was that time frame.
And then you guys were sort of formed as a team by Jack Smith, who has a lot of history doing this kind of ride and has done it a few times himself, right? How did that
Yeah.
happen? Did he like call you up one day and he was like, and you were like,
Yeah.
just answered the call and that was it? Or
Yeah, Jack sent me a message, and at that point, I didn't know, no one else had really committed yet. And I asked Wendy, I told her what was happening. She goes, "Well, of course, go do that," And I had no idea who else was going to do it. And then these guys, I heard that they agreed, and I was just like, "Oh man, what a crew!" I'm kind of the Volkswagen to their Corvettes, but man, it was. It was the best thing to be a part of. It's a huge deal for me, because I'm not the youngest guy in the group, but to be a part of it was just an amazing thing for me.
Jack wanted to, what he said was he wanted to get a bunch of guys that were, of different styles, like different, but basically like he wanted to see if he got a bunch of people who were really dedicated to the sport, and had them do the relay sort of in his style, how they would perform, right? He wanted to see like it'd be real neat to see like real athletes do sort of what I was doing and sort of see what comes from that. So that was, I believe, the motivation, and then we were basically handpicked by him, I guess, and I don't think very many people said no. I mean, I think it was just us. I think we were his first pick. I don't know. You'd have to ask him that, but
I think he said that was the case. Yeah, that we were his first people he asked, and we all committed. Yeah.
that's so cool. Miles, what was it like for you when you got the call?
Yeah, I think it was like sometime around like Christmas of 2022 that the team started, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the team started getting put together. And um, Andy and I had actually talked about trying to put together some kind of like unsupported cross country skate with a group of people during COVID that we just weren't able to pull off as the world opened up again and our schedules got full. So when Jack called with, the objectively terrible idea of skating across the country in a van, I was like, there was really no hesitation. It was like, yeah, fucking, of course we're going to do that.
yeah,
And,
I've already committed in my head.
Yeah, in the months that followed, there was plenty of time to be like, what the fuck? But yeah, we were all pretty locked in from day one. And, I'd known Rick and Andy pretty well in the years prior to that. And I'd met Paul and knew the legend and the myth of Paul Kent from his escapades and, some of the
we did meet
early skating videos that really like got me stoked. And I was honored to be invited, and it was a hell of a wild ride.
So cool. So yeah, Oh yeah, go ahead. You're gonna say something?
Yeah, and then your next question was like, how did we choose the route, and how did we decide to do this? Because
Yeah.
common wisdom is that you skate from west to east, and you take advantage of the prevailing winds, and
Yeah.
you take advantage of many many other things. But for us, Jack Smith was trying to recreate the first ever push they'd done in the 70s, I believe. And guys, correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a few years since we've
Yeah, it was
had this, but
76, I think. Yeah.
yeah, Jack had a route that he'd done, and he was basically like, you know what, we did this the first time. It took us damn near 40 days to do it. I wonder how fast we could do it if we had like 4 people who could skate.
He always did it west to east, though. He said,
Yeah.
I would like to go the other way just because I never have. And so it's like,
And
sure.
if you are ever considering skateboarding across the country, under no circumstances skate from east to west. Just don't do it. It is not the right way to do it. You will have so much better time skating the other way.
Yeah, it was gnarly. I owe a lot to Jack, and especially Dylan, because was kind of our chief navigator, and there was like my first ride. I came to this little town where the trail just didn't exist anymore, and I was like, oh crap, where do I go? Got a hold of Dylan, and he helped me figure out how to get back in line. But yeah, he was big to help me out with my few times I got confused on where to go. But yeah, just amazing. Most of my riding is done, here in Colorado where I'm at on bike paths and pretty forgiving trails and pathways. And man, it was just the first day you're just like, what? You're on just everything you can imagine, from harsh roadsides to rough sidewalks to literally gravel that first day. It was insane, But I owe a lot to Dylan. Boy, he was big in helping me find my way many times.
Thank you,
I mean,
Dylan. Thinking about you,
yeah,
bro.
thanks, Dylan. We're still following each other on Google Maps. We can still see where
Me
we are.
too. Me too. Yeah, me
But
too.
because he would use that so that he could be like, "You're going the wrong way." But yeah, no, I feel like a lot of the route was like roughly kind of in reverse, but it was really improvisational. Like
Yeah.
they'd be, yeah, it was a lot of like, let's try this one, and I don't know, we just sort of went along. Those two would be looking at the maps and kind of editing the route on the fly. So
there was no set route. It was kind of set, but then there was like surprises along the way.
yeah, it was a generalized route, but it'd be like, oh, there's a lot of traffic on this road. Let's go to this one. And then we'd skate, and then the road would run out. We'd be like, well, what the frick? And
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, those
funny.
gravel roads. And that first day in Virginia, we had to do some change the plans, change the route, just to get to that gosh, what was it, Harrisonburg or whatever that first town was. But yeah, they had, I think, a general route, but we had to change up here and there quite a bit, just to get through. Sometimes there would be road construction. We were somewhere in Iowa where they just like, traffic is closed on this road for everything, so we had to work our way around some of that.
Does somebody want to explain the leapfrog system and how that all worked? Andy, yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, I think Andy's really good at this.
So the premise of these relays, and this started back in the 70s, is they discovered that if they had 2 people skating on the road at the same time, you were covering twice the amount of distance in a certain amount of time. Now, try to picture this in your mind. You got your car that you have your 4 skaters in, and you launch one skater out from there, right? So he starts off the day and he's pushing, and you give him a predetermined distance, 2 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever. So while he is skating, the car drives up past him and ahead on the road to, say, a 5-mile predetermined point. And from there, while they stop and wait for the first skater to get back to the car, the second skater jumps out and already starts skating. So you have 2 people skating on the road at the same time. Number 1 picks up, drives around number 2, launch number 3 as you're waiting for number 2 to get in, and so on and so forth. So that's the premise. That's what they've always done. And it works nice. And it works good to kind of keep things flowing and keep 2 guys out on the road constantly which is basically turning, two people skating 5 miles. We skated 10 miles in the same, reasonable amount of time. So it's a formula that, that leans into, giving you the most amount of, I think, distance in a time with a relay team instead of just having one at a time. So this is the style that they discovered it in the 70s. They started using it. And then so subsequently every roughly 10 years that he would put on the next push and pick a crew and go out, they would always do this leapfrog. So there was a funny thing with the leapfrog because we kept asking for 10 miles between each drop off. So we wanted 10 miles.
We only got warmed up after 5. Like the muscles just started moving.
So that was one that we never really got. And Jack's he knows, these crossings. He's an adventurer. He's done it plenty of times before. But the thing is he's never done it with athletes like us who, I don't think he grasped of like how long we could skate or how long we wanted to skate to like really do it. So we always kind of felt like, give us a bigger chunk. Now there was times you had to dial it back. Sure. Crossing the Appalachians, crossing the Rockies, crossing, there's certain mountain routes where, it was like 2 miles and you were dying for, where the fuck is the van, and you're scared. Oh, thank God, and you're over it. But there were stretches where we could have really, really stretched it out. And I don't think Jack as the crew chief kind of understood. Because he would apologize to us. Hey, sorry, I couldn't find a spot to pull over to pick you up. I left you out there farther than 5 miles. I'm like, Jack, you don't understand.
Those are the fastest.
Hundreds of miles, dude. It doesn't bother me. Like, don't apologize to me. So I think that was something he didn't grasp. And it was something that we were kind of wanting that we never really got, that like, a proper section of like, stretch this shit out, man. Put us all out there for a couple, for a good, like, let's knock out 20 miles at a time and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but anyways, that's the premise of what it was. And like everybody said, Jack was just kind of like, hey, I would love to try this in reverse for some reason. And as we'll get into it later, it was a bit of a mistake. It was a bit of a mistake to do that because he said it didn't matter one way or the other. It always felt like headwinds. Well, yeah, bullshit. Like this was real headwinds going the other way. I don't know if it was just luck of the draw of just we got windy days out in the plains and the kind of in the breadbasket in the middle of America. But anyways, we'll get to that. But anyways, there's your leapfrog style. That's how it's always been done. The only other rules were no skating at night. So it was daybreak to nightfall was our skatable times that we could do. The minute we lost the light, he would pull us in and we would mark our spot at where we finished that day, and we would go, head in for camp. So that was pretty much the set, of what we were doing. So
the morning, go to Mavericks. Sorry.
What's Mavericks?
Gas station Mavericks are all in the West.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Mavericks and the burritos at the Mavericks basically fueled this whole team across the United States.
Yeah. Well, and they're kind of in the small towns too, because I talked to other people about them. They're like, yeah, they're not off the freeway so much, but they're just kind of out there in, middle of nowhere, Podunky land. And they were awesome because they were just always hot burritos and, all the cashiers had a funky haircut as like part of their job duties, having a weird haircut. But
that's cool.
But the Mavericks were the best, man. Those were the best.
So as Andy said, you weren't really doing these like long rides, right? Which you would maybe need like tailwind and scratch and gels and stuff for, right? You're kind of doing these shorter stunts. So
we still use that stuff.
We used all this stuff.
So
yeah. We had to supplement with that, and
cool,
and thanks to the feed gave us a sponsorship. Order. So we ordered all our calories. I did the math. I broke it down. It was something ridiculous. 300,000 calories is what we needed to cross the United States for the 4 of us. So with that kind of numbering, we know we're going to sit down and eat dinner every night and whatever. But when we were on the move in the van, it was just, your turn, a gel pack, a whatever, a Cliff Bar, and get your ass out there and go.
And
cool.
the interesting part is that we noticed some progression in all of our styles from day 1 to day 17 of the push. It took us 17 days, 6 hours. We haven't said that yet. And we started and we all had our packages from the feed with our goos and our gels and our science food.
Yeah.
And so for the first few days, we were all very conscientious about what we were eating, and we were still drinking too much. And then we kind of started to run out of shit. And we were supposed to have a drop shipment find us somewhere in the heartland, which for whatever reason didn't happen. So from like day 1 to 7, we were very regimented. And from day 7 on, it was like, I think I want ice cream, or yeah, I'll eat a fucking hot dog for lunch, or like, yeah, let's get burritos for breakfast. So it went from like healthy food to fucking Red Bull and protein shakes pretty
Red
quickly.
Bull and Reese Pieces and
yes.
Pretty much like any ultra, running or ultra skate or whatever, where like, you all of a sudden start introducing all the garbage because your body just starts craving all that stuff, and a lot of things go out the window. But anyways,
I don't care about your cardiovascular health. I need calories now.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot about morale too. It's like, what would feel good right now?
No.
Yeah,
It's a fuel.
In our style, like it's one thing if you're doing an ultra skate or doing an event where you are digging very deeply and eating 2 grams too many protein in the hour will send you into a spiral. It's completely another thing when you're skating really hard for 90 minutes and then stopping for another hour. So the flexibility we had with food was
2 weeks, right? Like as well, like psychologically, maybe you could push through 24 hours of just drinking sugar water. And, but I mean, after a week or 2, that's a lot to ask of one's psyche, So we just needed whatever we could to cheer us up at some days, just because it was, even though it wasn't constant, it was it's still a grind, right? We were skating faster, and we also were never warmed up, which created problems too. But yeah, sorry, Rick.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I can remember where we were. I think it was Nebraska, where my body just felt, bionic. I was like, yeah, I can rock it now. You just feel so much stronger at a certain point. But yeah, the feed sponsorship was awesome. I as a matter of fact, got to skate with Will, your brother Will, today, Max.
Oh,
and
today?
he showed up with some feed goodies. Yeah, we got together with Joe Mazzoni and Jeff Vine and Paul Earl, buddy Steve. It was a little crew. Yeah, it was a blast.
That's a nice crew.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, old guy trying to keep up with those guys. It was insane. It's like, I'm going to die.
Yeah, whenever I skate with Will, that's the same thing with me. Like he just kind of like floats his way ahead. It's like, dude, I thought we were just chilling. And the thing is, like, he is usually chilling. He makes
it look
a different
easy,
system.
That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
really does.
Good times.
That's
but
awesome.
Those sponsorships were great, man. Loved having that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point though. Like you guys tried your best to use the supplements, but I couldn't imagine
still did
doing that for a minute. Yeah. I couldn't imagine.
It was every day. Every day you're still.
Yeah, we're constantly using the stuff.
But little by little, you started introducing the Mavericks gas station burrito.
It was. We were supplementing the supplements.
Ultimately, the pickle came in.
The pickle came into it. Yeah.
The midday pickle was awesome, man. That was like my savior for there a few days. Whew. Gotta love it.
But all right, just to kind of talk this through. So we meet up with the Smiths, with Jack and his son. And, and they kind of lay it down and they're like, okay, listen, I'm going to, Jack Smith, so I'm going to crew chief this thing. I'm going to kind of be the one, my son, Dylan, he's going to set the course. And I knew instantly that I had to have a mindset with his course setting, that I was just like, just point where you need me to skate and I will skate it. I didn't want to ever like second guess what routes are we doing or anything like that. Or just cause you could tell he had his hands full of always trying to like look and, he's over there Google looking, Google Earth map. Is this a road? Is this worthy? Is this not? Is this whatever? And, and so I definitely had that mindset. I think the rest of the team did too, where we were just like, Dylan, just tell me what road you need me on. Tell me what turn to make turn or whatever. And I will skate that until you come pick me up. And that's it. And the rest of it is just staying alive on the roadside, And that was kind of the thought process. And so day one, we started out at Williamsburg, Virginia. There's this. What was the name of that path? Is it the Centennial Path or the
Virginia Capitol Trail? Right.
The Virginia Capitol Trail.
Yeah.
So this thing, mile marker 0, is right there on the river, to where we could basically touch the eastern shore. And so we did our traditional, we dipped the rear wheels of our skateboards, all 4 of us dipped our wheels in the water, representing the start of it. And we actually besides the finish, it was the only place where we all skated together, all 4 of us. So we started, checked our time, checked our clock, what time we were starting. And I think it was something, I can't remember, like 8 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah, it was.
And
No, we crossed that bridge in the middle. What was that? Too. We did that bridge, didn't we? Where we had put our backpacks on?
That wetlands area?
Yeah, that was later.
It was in a town.
I was in Ohio.
Yeah, there's 3 spots. Yeah, Ohio. It was Ohio. Yeah.
Okay. So yes. But anyways, kicked off day one on a bike trail. So it was 50 miles into
Richmond.
Yeah. And truthfully, we ate up those 50 miles in a heartbeat. They were easy. It was nice. It was easy going. And it was kind of like the calm before the storm. Me personally, I don't have a ton of open road skating to this point, man. Ultra skates, and I do train locally, whatever, but I just was never on a roadside, maybe the way like Paul Kent is, because he's a madman that does a lot of those skate packing. So it was.
I think your pavement's all good.
It was a culture shock to just all of a sudden go from that bike path, hit Richmond, and then all of a sudden it was like we were thrown to the wolves. And me personally, I found the East Coast extremely hard to skate. Even the back roads we took were busy. They didn't have good shoulders. I don't think they had any shoulders.
No, they didn't have shoulders.
They didn't have shoulders going through that.
You guys
area.
don't.
And
I don't know what it is.
We were in traffic skating, and you quickly learned, because Jack said it. He says, "Don't be too proud to do a step off." Is what he said. And I was like, "What the fuck is he talking about? The step off thing?" And I quickly learned. You got 3 or 4 cars piled up behind you, and it feels sketchy. You just step off the road. You just take your skateboard, just dive into the grass. Wait for the 3 or 4 cars to go by. Wait for the other traffic to go. All right, I look good. You jump back out and you skate. And then the next bunch of traffic that catches up to you. And it'd be tedious, but at the same time, you felt safe at least. That was one of the things where I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to get into it with cars and try to ask them to go around me and stuff like that. And so I would dip off. We would do the step off to stay alive. And and that was day one, guys. Day one. Let me see. I have it was actually day 00 because we hadn't even hit day one. 24 hours would be one day. So we were at day 00 in the beginning. And totaled 174 miles. Now, the math had been broken down. I personally was like, we can do this crossing with Jack Smith's rules. I think we can do this crossing in 14 days was my call and was what I wanted. And we needed 200 miles. We needed 200 miles a day to get it done. So day one, we were like, okay, it's all right. It's, the starter. We hit out 179. And I think we already had gotten in the hills that day, maybe, or was that day 2 where we started getting?
Day one, we did some hills.
We already got in the hills. And
we did.
Because I have a picture here of.
I have a couple of shots of me going pretty quick. Actually,
of Miles grinding up some nasty little slopes. And
it started early.
And Jack called it that day for us and was like, all right, it is what it is. You guys did good. So
I mean, we ate a lot of humble pie the first day. We had the 50 miles. We skated through Richmond. We got lost and skated many miles into the middle of nowhere. then we hit sunrise like in the rain and up a damn mountain, and it was a long, hard day, and it set us all up for just the tip of what was coming.
I will say, as a person who I'll call myself a Westerner now. I mean, the Appalachians move into Newfoundland, which is where my family's from, but I've been out west forever. But for the people out west, the Appalachians are no joke. There's a couple spots where the hills are long and they're very steep and they're very windy. They made them before they figured out how to properly survey the land.
Yeah,
and it's
again,
just like
no shoulder.
Yeah, and there's no shoulders. So yeah, you got to be making pace, or you got to be able to, if you can't move around them, you got to move out of the way. Sometimes to prevent getting creamed. I remember saying I don't think we should commit to 2 weeks just in case things go sideways. I do think we could have done it if we would have just allowed ourselves to go a little bit more into like the sunset. You know what I mean? I think we could have done it if we would have just if we had slightly longer legs. So we had proper we could nap or whatever, and we could run into the night. But the way that the formula works is that like we're sort of basically within Jack's time windows, right? We're basically recreating what he did. So that did put a limit to what we could do in the day.
And you said, Andy, you had said 200 miles a day to make that 2 weeks, and you're saying that's 50 miles a person, correct?
It was 50 miles a person, correct, is how they would get distributed out. Essentially, if we could all hit 50 miles, we would be 200 or over, and that's a day's work, Put a fork in it, and we're good, and let's go find a hotel, and let's go find dinner, and we'll do it again tomorrow, and let's see. And obviously, we knew there were some areas like crossing the Appalachian that we were going to get, our asses handed to us, and we weren't going to get 50 miles each, and we would have some tough ones. But then we were hoping like some areas out in the Midwest, the breadbasket, the plains, that we could, we were talking of like, maybe we can get a 250 or a 300 mile day out of this, or something. So we knew there was places where we could make up and there was places where we were going to lose. But in general, we needed 200 miles, 50 miles each.
Okay.
With the right type of hills, you can get faster on hills than you can on flat. But we were kind of going the wrong way for that, so it just didn't work out. Yeah.
So day two, pretty much started out the same. Got out to getting our skates. I think in the beginning we were having issues with getting up early. I think, that was one thing that we got
in the beginning.
Dialed it in as we went. But in the beginning, I do remember the first couple of days, Jack was kind of like, bro, you guys are the worst at like getting out of the hotel room and getting in here. Like we're burning like a couple hours of daylight with you guys, like trying to get your shit together. And
did he know who he had called for the job though? Like,
like the most ADHD distance skaters that you could find. Like,
and it was like, we had a lot of gear and we stopped, you got your skate stuff and all right, you're trying to like, we hadn't had it dialed in yet, and so we were, on our end, we were sucking the first couple, the first couple of days of like trying to get our shit together and get back in the van.
And the first 4 days were very wet. Sorry to interrupt, but the first 4 days would just rain too. So a lot of wet clothes to deal with.
Wow.
We had to put our shoes. I remember putting our shoes up on the heater in the hotels to dry out, and it was crazy.
I was doing all-nighters trying to get everything set up because I was still so fresh off the plane, basically, that I wasn't like ready. I think it took me like 4 days to get like 3 boards built because I also had all this audio-visual equipment that Jack had hoped I would be using, but eventually I think I got COVID or something while we were on the road. And
the pandemic.
And then all the video stuff just went to crap. Like it was like Andy became the guy that actually did the best job with the media. Once I got sick, I was like, "Frick this! I'm going to bed," and that was it. But yeah. The van.
That's a lot. As your roommate, I would wake up at like 2 a.m. and you'd be like, Miles, I've been listening to the same free music tracks for the last 2 hours. try to figure out what my reel is going to sound like in the morning. I'd be like, Paul, go to fucking bed.
Well, that's what it was. That's what it was. Like, it sucked.
Let's just talk about the gear we brought for a couple minutes because everybody likes to talk
Not the
about
pandemic.
Gear.
Yeah.
We don't want to get in that yet.
That's later in the story. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting out over the front wheels, man. Come on.
It was the first week. It lasted longer than a week.
We all hit the white van, and the initial plan was that we might do some camping nights.
Oh,
so we had camping gear, we had fucking skateboards, tents. We had tents, we had sleeping pads, we had sleeping bags, we had fucking
poles, food, coolers.
I had like trekking poles for a trekking pole tent.
Paul had like 14 cameras and the biggest lens you've ever seen.
Yeah, I had this 200 millimeter f1.8.
Wow.
Oh, that to people that know,
that's
the
huge.
thing is a museum piece, and it's like this big, and it weighs like 35 pounds.
Why would you need that?
Because I was like, I don't want to bring this. I don't need to bring this, right? And Jack was like, you should bring it, and I was like, because it has an amazing image quality. It's just
I bet that does.
Yeah, it's and so I couldn't leave it in the van at night. So like,
so Miles, you brought a bunch of camping gear. I guess everyone did. Paul, you brought some cameras. And
I brought everything. I had the most
stuff.
shit. I was so bad. Sorry, can we swear? I swore. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Yeah, I brought so much crap.
Totally fine.
It was bad. I was like, I can't make up my mind. Jack, I don't know exactly what we're doing. We're in a van. I'll just bring it all. Like, because I'm usually out of a 28-liter backpack. So I went so far in the other direction. Instead of being minimalist, I went like full maximalist. Like, it was just like, if I'll look at it once in the 3 weeks, I'll bring it. Like,
yeah. So we did not camp a single night. We did not need our camping gear. No. We all brought way too much shit, and it did not help our speed of departure to anywhere really.
No.
Yeah, it was that was pretty tough. Quick passage here from day 2. In for a tough day as we try and cross from Virginia into West Virginia. Problem was this thing called the Appalachian Range. It was a cool day in the 60s and an overcast turned to cold rain in the afternoon. We had a lot of steep switchback climbs all day. But the highlight was passing the downhills over to Paul Kent, letting him do his thing, which made up a lot of miles and time. Van life was a little more organized today, and everyone worked hard. Our crew chief, Jack and Dylan, found us good routes and were tuned to the team. Reading each member and adjusting the pace for pickup and drop-offs. Skate team put a lot of work in, but the overall distance didn't justify the hard work. That's just part of the game out here with the day-to-day. Do the best you can with what the roads and weathers throw at you. Good thing is the monster distance of crossing the USA can give you chances to average out the slower days. Oh, and no one died today.
No one died any
the
day.
whole time. Yeah.
Not one. Every day when we called it, and no one died today.
We're not telling them about the 5th member.
We agreed to leave him out of it. And there's like, in talking about picking routes and skating across America, like for much of the country, you've got a lot of options on how to get from east to west. But when you start going over mountain ranges, I guess surprisingly or unsurprisingly, like there aren't really that many ways to do it.
Yeah, you can't take the freeway route, so you have to do the back roads,
As we approach the mountain ranges, we actually ended up on many of the freeway routes. So, coming over the Appalachians in day 2, and also like that hotel we stayed in with the rats and the bed bugs.
Oh, that was the worst. That was day 5.
Oh my God.
Wasn't that day 5?
First night was Cockroach Villa. But the 5th night was in Illinois, and it was the worst. There was a couple fighting in the room next to us. I'm just like, oh God, it was the worst.
I left them a shitty review on TripAdvisor, and they responded like a full 30 months later, and were like, "We're sorry about your bad experience. Please contact management if you want to talk about it." And I was like, "Thanks, guys."
Yeah,
I
that
remember
place
like,
was
where do we put our
skanky.
pizza? Like, I
Yeah.
was like, where can we put our pizza where the bugs won't get into them? Because there were literal cockroaches like all over the place. Like it was like gnarly.
Disgusting.
It was like, let's sleep in our
Yeah.
clothes kind of night.
We had some weird
thought-
places because we would book these places on the fly. We were literally, Jack would start
be
going, all
out
right,
front,
we're
be
looking for a
like-
hotel. And usually it would fall on Miles to, he was like our booking agent. And so he started kind of going through, hey guys, and he'd read off, hey, we got, a 3.4 star with like horrible reviews, or we got this other 3.1 with horrible reviews. Take your pick. And we're like, all right, go for that one. Go for that one. What's the price on it? We'll take it, So that was kind of our bookings. But
What was your favorite? What was your favorite place to stay, guys? I think Des Moines. Des Moines was my favorite. I think.
Des Moines was good.
And then
Cool.
and then at the end,
At the end, the very, very end. Yeah, that was.
I love the Black Bear Hotel we stayed at in Wyoming going into the Tetons.
Oh yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yes, that was a great.
That was
one.
the best day.
A really
that
fun-
little Du Bois. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, little funky.
that was a
town.
cool little place. Yeah, that was a gnarly
I like
day.
it.
That.
All right.
The people
Let
that
me-
organized the hotel that we were at, like when I crashed in Wyoming, they were really nice, and that's actually a spot that a lot of the Continental Divide trail hikers would use. So I was able to talk to them a bunch about the hiking crap. So that was I really liked that spot where the day that I wiped out.
All right. Let's get into day 3. Day 3 was the biggest highlight of day 3 was the Shenandoah, right? Was that the name of
Yeah.
that descent? That
Yeah,
Paul we
Shenandoah.
had the stick Paul on.
Oh no,
So
that was
basically-
we call that, okay, the downhill skateboarders, we didn't know this, but that's Mordor. They call it Mordor. And the side that we skated up, they call less door. But and 2 downhill skateboarders died the year before we went down it. I was
Yes.
on sighting it. I had no idea it was that hill. They're just like, yeah, you're going down. I'm like, okay, for how long? I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe I'll change my shoes. And it was like flying down there. I put the jacket on and I was going down and I was just like, this is freaking legit. Like, holy crap.
Yeah,
Paul,
that was
talk a little
scary.
bit more about your downhill process for us. You are a designated hill guy, and
Yeah.
there was some ritual to it.
We would be skating.
They
along.
would shake me and I'd be asleep on the chair and I'd go, and then they would give me my helmet and my jacket and my shoes and I put them on and they go down the hill. And that was the process. And then yeah.
Yeah, no, we basically, Paul Kent was a designated downhiller.
Yeah.
Obviously, the one who's the most comfortable with doing any of that style of stuff. And when we would reach a spot that would say 11% grade for the next 7 miles, that was it. We would throw shit at Paul Kent and we'd shove him out the door. And then it would be awesome. That was the only times that we wouldn't do the leapfrog. We would actually follow behind Paul Kent with the van. We would block traffic and we would let him go, 30, 40, 50 miles an hour down these freaking chicanes and watch him just, crush it. And while he was doing that's this specific one, we started researching it because we're like, we just sent him out there like sight unseen. Like he doesn't even know what this thing looks like. And we're like, oh shit, look, downhillers die on this, on this road, 2 years ago. And we're like, oh God. So now we're all, white knuckled, like watching them. Yeah. Oh shit. And there's video on the Instagram if you guys want to go back and look at it. But of Paul just, banging this thing. So
it was about the only time that the van was quiet was when we were all sitting there biting our nails, watching him bomb the hill. It was gnarly to watch. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. So that day crossing was a tough day where we all only wound up with 30 miles each. And then Paul wound up with 60 miles because of all the downhills. So Paul had to eat all the downhills, and that was day 3. So I think we were feeling pretty deflated. I think after 3 days, we were just like, because all this talk of 200 miles and let's crush this, and we were just like, oh my God, like we started. The shell shocking was for real now. It was just like the cars, the traffic, the climbing, the hills, the this, the that. you realize you were in for, we were in for something hard.
And it was 3 days in. Yeah. It was like, there's so
Yeah,
much
and it was only 3 days in.
more distance to go.
The good thing is, somebody like Jack was like, guys, listen, it usually happens. Dylan too was like, listen, we have experience with this, and they would kind of talk us a little bit off the ledge. They were like, you're going to have your rough days. The East Coast is always like the worst to try to get through. It's just the worst. He goes, wait till we get to the middle of the country. It'll open up some, it'll get better, and you'll be, you'll find your groove. So that's about all we could kind of go off of, because, we had no idea.
Always the worst.
All we knew was we were getting our asses handed to us, the first 3 days.
Yeah. The first few days are always a little like, Max, you said something about culture shock. Like it's always that way. I mean, even when you're in your own country, it's like if you still have a long way to go after 3 days, then you're like, oh man, like, what am I doing? This is so dumb.
Yeah, and you guys are assuming you had assumed you'd go further each day. You assumed you'd be going faster.
Yeah.
And
we were going.
The weather was really poor. It's just
weather was poor. The shoulders made things tough. We had navigation, was really there's a lot of roads in the east. There's a lot of road density, and so and they're all over the place. It's a tangled mess. It was very easy to find yourself the right way, and then you miss the text from Dylan, and now you're going 5 miles south, right, off route, and then because you're in the freaking zone.
Very zigzaggy anyways, the whole route. There's no solid, just, you're making ground going east to west. We'd be like, dude, we just skated a whole day and all we did was a diagonal upwards north towards Wheeler to catch the right route the next day. And you're like, we wasted a day basically, almost going straight up
track.
Or something like that. So those were really frustrating. Those were tough.
Yeah. And it's not like the West where it's there's we got 3 options, right? In Canada, it's one. You got one road, maybe 2 if you go really far north. But each state, they've got their roads. In the West, there's a lot less. It's out east is tangled up, man. It's like behind the TV in the 1990s.
All right. So let's push along here. So day 4, I'm reading my notes here.
Are we doing day to day? We're doing every day, play by play.
Right, I'm just catching stuff from day.
I'm okay. Max.
Day 4.
This is fun.
Day 4. This was the one where this is the first time we did the divide and conquer. This was something that we came up with new, and it was kind of tough because we would start to get to the end of the day, and we were ragtagged and we were beat up, but we had daylight. And that was one where I think we would sometimes get frustrated at Jack because we're like, bro, we have daylight. You said we could skate till daylight. We got it in us. Yes, we're beat up, but we want to keep skating. And we would want to skate into the town that we were sleeping in. We'll get us there. Just let us keep skating. And he would
let's not wake up in the morning and drive backwards 20 miles to start the day. Right?
We really wanted
to
to
the hotel.
Those. And those were tough ones that, sometimes we would get frustrated. As an athlete, we're not used to being handcuffed by somebody and telling us, no, you're done for the day. And we're like, bro, let us finish the day in the town. So to make up for that, because then we would pick up, right? And we're 20 miles from making it to the town. So we would pick up and he'd be like, all right, you guys are done for the day. And we're fuck, man. All right. But nonetheless, okay, Jack, respect old Papa and go with it. But, so the next morning we decided, well, instead of driving all of us back 20 miles, let's launch somebody from the hotel room out ahead. And the rest of the team goes back and finishes up the 20 miles in the town. And then you can leapfrog and find the guy skating. So that was the first day we did that one. This one was Cadiz Hotel, Cadiz, Ohio. And we did the divide and conquer. So I left out from the hotel. And I remember that day I left early too. And I was kind of
you were out for an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yes. I was kind of fired up a little bit because I was upset about not hitting the distances. So I went out like a bat out of hell. And I was like, I'm going to try to put out as much miles as I can before these guys finish their 20 and then come to leapfrog me and find me. And truthfully, it was It was one of the most gorgeous rides I had because it was like all by myself, sun coming up. We actually started hitting farmland in Ohio, so it was nice and flat. I had some great back roads that Dylan put me on before before we left the hotel. He said, hit this road and, we'll probably find you 10 miles. I think I made like 30 miles.
You did good. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I crushed like 30 miles before these guys came and even found me. And that was one of my first, like, this is awesome. Like, this is really, really cool. But there they picked me up. We got into it. And that was our first 200-mile days.
Yeah, we were 201 that day. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I tried to stay out late one of those days, and then that ended up not being a good idea.
No,
But
you got spanked for that. Paul
I got in
kept coming up with all the ideas that were no-nos to
Jack. I'd be like,
So
listen,
we had to
Jack,
have
rush
we had to
hour
have
is
a
sketchy.
meeting.
We
We had to
can't
have a
be on the
little bit of-
freeway at rush hour, so why don't we just make up for it with a couple hours in the dark? He's like, no one's skating in the dark. And I'm like, 40% of my skateboarding is at nighttime. He's like, no one's skating in the dark. I'm not having any of you die. Fair enough,
Yeah.
I guess.
Want to play it safe? Okay. No, that was a fun day. I remember you'd see all kinds of deer and stuff, when you're out there by yourself. I remember that day I've got in my journal, I started up a stampede of cows that I was surprised when I came around this corner. I felt so bad for them because they freaked. One of them fell down and they just took off the whole stampede of them. I was like, oh, sorry, guys. But yeah, just deer everywhere. I think I might have even seen more deer on the East Coast than when we got over to the West, but that was just something you see every day, and plenty of dead critters. I tell you what,
Yeah.
a lot of times they would take deer. I noticed, like in West Virginia, they would take deer, and just like probably the county people, road crews, they would just throw them over the guardrail, and so they'd be out of the way that way. But boy, you smelled them coming.
Yeah.
All right, so moving along. Day 5, day 6, we're in the breadbasket now. We're in Ohio, crossing through Indiana, Illinois. All this was good skating, I think. This is we started finding our groove, and
Yeah.
we really
This is-
kind of pushing. All flat. We did have a funny
We were getting
day.
sick.
The
Getting sick around here.
pandemic also started. And we called it the
Yeah.
pandemic. Everybody in the van was like coughing their asses off and was
Except for-
snot-nosed.
Except for me.
Except for, yeah.
Somehow
I
the
sat in the
pickle
back by myself.
eating pickles like got out of it, but the whole van.
Yeah.
The whole van
Well,
was-
you guys in your open mouth kisses. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't. Yeah. No, I lucked out on that one. I don't know how I lucked out there, but I think it was just sitting in the back of the van. Probably I had the back seat to myself, so that was probably it.
Yeah, the good part about this section is now you're hitting all the cornfields and farmland. And farmland is all done grid pattern. So there's no more East Coast up, down, trying to connect roads. We were purely going across the United States in the right direction now at this point. So we had a couple days on end of just nothing but farmland. And I tell you what, man, we grow so much so much corn in this country.
And soy, yeah.
Ends where all we did was skate through cornfields, and as far as you could see to the north and as far as you could see to the south,
Yeah.
it was just corn, and
Yeah.
it was days and days and days of corn, and you're just like, no wonder we stick high fructose corn syrup and everything. We don't know what the hell to do with all this corn. But anyways,
I was impressed with how actual short your prairies are, actually. I thought that they would be longer, because for me, it's a day and a half of driving. And I mean, yeah, a proper day and a half. But I mean, you guys are probably a little bit more north south. You're a bit longer, but I was like, oh wow, this is over quick. But anyway, sorry to ruin
Not
your
enough
point.
corn for Paul, apparently.
and so through this section, we hit our first 1,000 miles. Now,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
cool thing with the
damn.
1,000-mile thing is we got sponsors to jump on, and this was kind of very helpful, and it was a lot of fun with us. Is that we would do, and somehow somebody on the computer, I think my girlfriend made this spin
Yep.
wheel,
Your girlfriend.
and and we would do a raffle to win sets of wheels from Loaded, and Riptide had some stuff in there,
Yeah.
and so we would do every 1,000 miles. Now, does anybody remember where the chicken came from?
I don't know. This just
you
popped
and
up.
me, we were in I was in a store and I found them, and I was like playing with it. I'm like, I'm buying one. You're like, I'm buying 3, and it was Andy and I, and then I forget who came up with we need to have a chicken for every 1,000 miles. I forget who that was.
It just
But
came
we have
somehow.
milestone chickens.
But basically, it's a chew toy. For people listening in, it was one of these chew toy, featherless chicken rubber ones. There, you can hear him. So somehow we wound up with these chickens, and we started finding cool ones too. Because first we had a regular one, then there was like a glitter one, and we're like, "This is." And then we have a gold glitter one. This will be Mr. 3000. So we ended up buying all the chickens, and that was our mascots for every 1,000 miles. And
Jack loved it.
Oh, he kept quiet about it, but I'm pretty sure that the back of his neck was always getting red when he started blasting the chickens. And we're like,
No, we made Jack crazy a lot of ways.
Like your dad when he's driving you down the road, and you can tell he's getting frustrated with the kids in the back. And
Well, I remember that first day we kept slamming the sliding door, and he's just like giving us that dad face, like easy on the door.
I'm slamming the door.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I think by then the inner dynamics of the team, we were pretty solidified as far as knowing kind of all of our styles, knowing each other. We had all kind of grown accustomed to, okay, he's going to fart, he's going to do this, he's going to be quiet, Paul's going to rant for 20 minutes and, whatever. And we had our little thing going the whole time. And it was really cool. I think at this point now, after hitting about 1,000, I think we were all like, we had gelled pretty good, I think. And it was pretty.
We were a good team.
Because this carried on for the whole trip. The whole trip, we all like, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun.
We're a good team.
Yeah, no, definitely, there was no animosity. There was no fuck you and no all this guy or I'm getting tired of this dude or whatever. I think us personally, us 4 in the back, we were having a fucking blast.
Got to interview Jack.
The pandemic illness lingered a lot with the guys in the front, unfortunately. So we were getting pretty worried about them after about a week or whatever it was, because they were so bad. They were so sick.
So they got sick too, and they weren't getting any better.
Yeah, they were. We were all sick. I got it first, so I'm sorry. Fucking dirty Canadian, But I don't know, airport, whatever. But my not sleeping the first 4 days didn't help. And then I got sick fast, and then everyone else got it. And then it just didn't go away with Jack and Dylan, those poor guys.
I think it was day 6, those guys. We went out to dinner. We went out to dinner. I think it was the 6th night. I think it was Andy's birthday. And those two felt so bad. They just stayed at home and didn't go out to eat with us.
Wow.
They were pretty down. Yeah. But yeah, that once we got to Indiana, I think we skated through Indiana in that one day. Of course, it's a skinnier state, but we were making some really good time. And I got to say, I had in my journal notes that the surfaces were just sweet through Indiana, and the shoulders were like a landing strip. It was awesome. It was great.
They had a lot of those rumbly things on the sidewalks. I would dip up and down the sidewalks in the hilly town with all the horse and buggies and all the Mennonites or whatever their guys call them. But
Amish?
Yeah. Amish, yeah. So I was flying down in between buggies and on the sidewalk, off the sidewalk. My board would be over those rumble strips, blah, blah, and stuff. I had a lot of fun in that area. I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right. So the next couple of days, let's see, we get through there. Now we're talking about day 6, 7. We were getting close. We were always very close to our 200. We were always kind of just coming up a little short. So we were kind of a little bit frustrated that we were like, sometimes we felt like there was some daylight left that we could have been left out there a little bit longer. But nonetheless, we hit some 191 and a 216 at the time. Day 5, 216 was our best day. And from there, we were going from Illinois, and we were starting to get into Iowa. We were creeping up on Des Moines, Iowa. Was that whole section? And it was it was some pretty good skating. I think that was some of the best skating as far as road conditions, I think, and weather wise that we kind of had was those days.
That was my favorite day through Iowa. You guys let me ride out of Des Moines in the morning and caught up.
Yeah,
the
we
mile
had to do another divide and conquer, and today
and
that they were
I'm
like,
telling
Rick, you're up. You're the lone wolf. The rabbit, I think we called it. So we said, send the rabbit out, and we'll come chase you down. And we'll.
I was so fortunate. Yeah, I was so fortunate. I mean, that path was beautiful. It was just like I was like, Iowa has woods, has trees.
We put you on a bike path, right?
Yeah. It was just gorgeous. Little hundreds of bunny rabbits bopping around, and just a gorgeous, gorgeous path. And it was probably about 12 miles. Then it opened up into kind of a suburb area for a mile or two, and then it just straightened out. I was in the farmland, and it was just a straight path with mulberry bushes on the side of it, and running over those things. My legs were red by the time I got to the van, but that was my favorite day. I think that was even the day I crashed. I was cruising along by myself, and I don't know what I did, but I just boom and landed on my side. But still, even with that, that was an amazing day. And I think we did. That was our 228-mile day. It was one of our longest to that point.
That was 228 on that day. And at the end of the day, we wound up, that was when we got our stash. We got our drop box from a Tailwind. So it was very funny because it was a box just full of big bags of Tailwind. You'd think like it was like, some illegal drug dump.
Yeah.
Open this box up and we're like, yay, reinforcements, we got a Tailwind. So we have a funny video of us in the hotel, like busting open the box and getting our drop box of reinforcements for calories and carbs.
That's awesome.
Shout out to Dan Sandusky from Hamboards for taking such good care of us as well.
Yeah,
he was a lifesaver,
legend.
From the start to the finish, man. He was,
He's great.
Yeah,
such a big deal.
Those subskate poles were awesome. I used mine the whole time. Rode mine this morning, as a matter of fact, and still rocking it. It's a great tool.
No, it was nice to have the switch up. I personally was, I was kind of the lead on wanting to bring a paddle, just specifically because I had, lately I've been doing ultra skates and doing it in, in the sub category, and I just kind of wanted it, and there was areas I really liked it. There was times where the shoulder was so dirty that when you were pushing with one foot, your board would tend to like rattle and go like, it would pull you off in the traffic or pull you off the shoulder. And there was something nice sometimes of just being able to put both feet on the board to handle the dirty shoulder and just propel yourself with the paddle, and kind of push that. And it gave you much more stability, I felt, than 1 foot pushing. So there was times where it really kind of worked out. And I think I jumped out of the van every time with that paddle in my hand, whether I was using it all the time or not. I always had the paddle.
I did too. I'm one of the last of the 1 foot pushers, so that paddle really helped me.
Yeah,
I don't switch, so it helped me out.
Hot take on the paddle though was somebody jumped on somebody reached out to Jack Smith and said something along the lines like, "Hey, are you upset that these guys are using paddles to set this new FKT? Do you think that even should be allowed and whatever?" And so there was a couple people out there that were kind of like, I guess they saw it as not a pure, skateboard thing, which then it was funny. It opened up a big discussion in the van and stuff like that. And I think that the consensus in the end was like, listen, if you're kind of adventure skating or pack skating or whatever, skateboarding is skateboarding. As long as it's human propelled and you're propelling yourself.
Yeah, self-propelled.
Whether it's a paddle or a foot or a combination of them, it's just not a place to put categories and start saying, oh, but you use a paddle too or whatever. It's kind of, it's one of these things that I think loosely based in the FKT rule book that we kind of, I don't know if we really do have one drawn up or not. I know Callie was making something about it, but overall it's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's not frowned upon to use a paddle along to go do your skate pack. And maybe you can elaborate on that, Paul.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was doing kind of the pure route. So what I do to prevent the board from jumping off, when you have a really active front end, if one of those wheels dip off the shoulder, like if there's no shoulder, dips off the road, then it puts pressure on your inside wheel, which steers you back into the road violently and it throws you into the traffic. So personally, I run a very low angle front end and I push on the roads because I'm usually in really like gnarly roads. I spend most of my time in remote mountain routes. So I run a 46 degree front instead of having an active one that you can pump. I did do 1 or 2 legs with the paddle though, just to kind of give it a go and see what the difference was in like pace versus expenditure. And I could see potentially it being easier on tendons to spread the load. But aside from that, there's not much. It's not like a huge advantage, especially open road, man. Like there's so many variables of different things working against you in general that I think it just sort of evens out. Like I gave it those sample runs and I didn't feel sure my technique could have been better, but I really don't think like even I think I factored that in somewhat because I wasn't bad. I cross country ski and I can paddle a boat really like okay like decent enough. I can like kayak and canoe. So for me it wasn't that big of a deal. Like I have a really good pole. I'm a really good double poler. So I mean I just thought like honestly I don't see a huge advantage disadvantage one way or the other aside from like maybe just making it easier if you have an Achilles tendon injury. I have an Achilles tendon injury that's chronic and I still pushed for most of the way. You know, if I tore my Achilles, if I completely ruptured it, I would have been paddling. But aside from that, I don't see very much of it's not enough of a advantage to be noticeable with all of the road chaos, right? Like I don't think it's an advantage. I think it's pretty comparable, right?
So now we're into Wyoming, right? And for some reason, I love this video. I'm going to try to play it, see if it comes over on the.
Yeah, Wyoming. You know what that means. Tristan, you owe me $300.
Did he ever pay you?
Yeah,
Good.
he did.
Oh, so this came out of left field. Left field, we jump out.
Nobody knows.
We would jump
It's
out in
better
front
if
of the
you don't
signs
know.
for every state, right? And we would jump out and we would take a picture in front of every state. And when we hit Wyoming, all of a sudden Paul is like, makes a video and he's like, see, Wyoming, Tristan, you owe me $300. Who's Tristan? Why does he owe you $300? What the heck is going on?
Sometimes life is better with a bit of mystery, you know?
Yeah, I remember seeing. I think you guys did one for the Mississippi, right? Is that
We did them for.
We tried. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, well, that happened fast. Like quick photo of yourself, like with half the sign as you're passing it. But yeah, we tried our best to do them. And then Wyoming for me felt kind of like home. I really liked it. There was a lot of really fast little dips in the hills. There was a lot of prairie, and then there was the mountains. And
yeah, but the issue was the winds. That's where we got in Nebraska.
The winds sucked.
into Wyoming was where we discovered. That's where we discovered going east to west was a bad idea. Because it was 20, 30 mile an hour winds. You can look on some of these pictures. And I mean, we got like the stop signs were like freaking shaking back and forth. The grass is laid down and we're just getting our asses handed to us. Every rotation is just like, this is fucking awful. And we're like, if we were skating the other way, we would have had 3 days, like 300-mile days, like easily because we just would have been getting pushed. And instead we were grinding for 150, 180 miles.
We got there just after they milled like I swear like 80 miles of pavement like spread out along the state. Like milling is like where they take a machine that kind of tears off the top of the asphalt and it has this terrible pattern. Like it's just so rough and it's like it's almost impossible to skate on. It's not impossible. You can do it, but it's almost impossible. Yeah, and then I had a fall. That's where I had the paramedic Andy come rescue me.
And this is through Nebraska and Wyoming. You're saying there's all this wind and shitty pavement.
Yeah, Yeah.
That was a rough. That was a rough couple of days. I would give it 2 to 3 days where we just ate wind. I mean, it was just the same thing every day. It was just like, come on, give me a break, man.
We went through the Wind River Range, like it's called that for a reason. Really pretty though. Once you get to the mountains, holy.
Yeah,
right?
gorgeous.
Like, proper. Almost as pretty as where I live.
Yeah,
Very high mountains too.
High
Very high
point.
mountains. Yeah.
That was one of the toughest days. That was one of the toughest days for me was when we left Wyoming from that cool little town of Du Bois, and we had to climb the Rockies,
Du Bois.
drop down into a valley, and then climb the Tetons after that. Yes. And some of that was dirt road. Miles got stuck with a lot of that, a lot of dirt road mountain.
Yeah. Miles and I split up that dirt section between the bike paths and the whatever.
Yeah, that was an intense day. That was a hard day for me too. Once we got into Idaho, there was a town that because it was like coming up on 4th of July but there was just
it was the 4th of July weekend. So here was the
traffic.
Completed 2,000 miles at that point through the wind days. We finally, we're the chickens again. We're all excited. We're doing dances. We're at 2,000 miles. We do another raffle, and we're out. We're doing the Tetons, and it's the 4th of July weekend. So everybody that is going out for 4th of July weekend with their trailers, their camper vans, their whatever, they were all on the roadway, and they were not amused one bit that we were on that Teton Pass trying to get through Jackson Hole. They did not budge. They did not move for us. They basically would blast us. I mean, literally like rear view mirrors over your shoulder. It was that day. I was somebody's dying today. Like it was like somebody's dying today. This is bad. And we weren't in the mood to do step offs either because you're grinding up this mountain pass and you're just like, I don't give a shit either. That was, I think me and Miles talked about this and we said that was like the first time we were ready. We were just like, I don't care. I'm ready to just die.
I'm ready to die. Yeah, I'm ready to die.
Shattered and that.
I call them backpack strap slappers when they're that close because your backpack straps start slapping the side of the truck. And I've climbed some of the biggest mountains that anyone has ever skateboarded up, if not the biggest mountains anyone has ever skateboarded up. But so I think I can say this. You have to choose to do that in spite of everything. You choose to fight before the asshole shows up. And at that point, your lizard brain, it's in fight mode. So somebody wants to be a dick, you're just like, screw you. If you wanted to be in front of me, you should have got here before I did. Right? And you're like, you can wait. And then you can drive around when I let you, right? And I mean, that's how it gets on hills sometimes, you know what I mean? So maybe it's not the smartest thing, but the lizard brain does what it does, and that's how you're already running the fight program. There's no other option. You're not reassessing. You're freaking doing it, right? Yeah. And so you get maybe a little more aggressive than what you naturally might be predisposed to be, in general life. So
yeah.
As Andy was saying, coming through, we're coming through the Tetons. They're like above 10,000 feet. We are high up there. Mm-hmm. The air is thin. We're exhausted. It's the 4th of July weekend. And the Tetons are one of those places where like there's one fucking road over the Tetons. So we are properly on the freeway going up over the mountain on 4th of July weekend. And when you're skating like this, you're kind of walking a fine line between like, I need to be checked out enough of my head so I'm not like just suffering, but I also need to be here enough to not get hit by a fucking semi truck. And that was really the first time of two experiences I had on this trip where, like pushing up the Tetons and a fifth wheel flies by, like close enough that the mirror almost hit me. And it was like, that was it. That could have been the one. Like that was that car like very well could have killed me. And it was like, actually, I feel a little bit more adrenaline and I'm not going to get off the fucking board here. So we're just going to keep on pushing.
Keep going.
And, I still have a little I still have a little PTSD of like open roads when a car flies past. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
And
Jesus.
we would
Yeah.
switch roadsides as well. As we went until we got to Idaho, that tightened up a little bit, but we would switch sides, because it's easier to see what's coming. And then if something's coming, you look back, there's nothing on the other side, you could hop over to that side. So you kind of play that as you go.
Farm kids.
When we got to Idaho, and then we had our first cop experience there, where somebody stopped us and let us know he didn't appreciate us riding into the oncoming or riding with traffic. I think it was he didn't like or oncoming. No, it was the oncoming.
This is Andy's story. This is Andy's story.
Okay, I'll leave that one.
We'll go back. We'll come back to Wyoming a little bit, but we got to do this story now. Andy's got to do it.
Right, so we made it into Idaho, right? We're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel now. We made it through the Tetons. We're weathered. We're grimy. We're like, we got this, man. We got this. We're finally kind of like, we earned our stripes out there on the roadways. And we're just grinding through Idaho. There was nothing special about it, I don't think. It was very it was kind of hilly and stuff like that.
Pretty.
And it was funny that, we're 2,500 miles into this thing, and it was surprising that not a single cop had ever stopped us until this Idaho. And we're on some just quiet back road, and and so here comes the cop. He's driving along. I'm on the shoulder. I'm doing my skating, and he sees me, and he turns right around and comes back over for me. Hey, get over. Pulls me over. So I stop, and he's pretty fired up. He's like, what the hell are you doing on my roadways and blah blah blah, whatever. You know how dangerous it is. You know how he's giving me the cop talk. Giving me all the stuff. This and that, and you wind up in somebody's windshield, this, that, the other. And so I was just, as the fireman, I'm used to dealing with cops, and so his judo and everything. So I started just kind of charming him up and talking a little bit. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm like, we're like professional athletes doing this. Like, we are out to set the fastest known time across the United States. It's a crew. We're 4 of us. We're doing this relay. I said, we skate, with the traffic. We obey all the traffic laws. I wish you would just see us out here no different than a bicycle who's allowed to be on the road. And that's how we're kind of, look, I got my vest on. You can see me. I'm doing my thing. I play it safe. I step off if it gets real bad or hairy, this, that, the other. And then he starts getting into it, and he was kind of like, well, and I had a couple good lines for him that I think I won him over with, because I was like, listen, nobody does anything amazing in this world sitting on the couch. I was like, this is just what we do. We're wired this way. And there was some talk. This guy was like an old school Vietnam guy and stuff. And he was like, I know, back in Nam and whatever. And so we started hitting it off. And next thing you know, we're talking good, and he's kind of cheerful about it, and he's kind of interested in what we're doing, this, that, the other. And then all of a sudden, Paul Kent comes over the roadway, on the opposite side of the road, skating, because Paul constantly liked to skate in the traffic so he could see the car coming. And I get Paul's.
They have to look me in the eyes if they want to kill me.
Yeah, you're looking at the car. You can step up better than somebody coming up on your 6, somebody coming up behind you. So I finally knocked this guy off the ledge, and he's all good to go. And all of a sudden, here comes Paul over the hill. You see, that's what I'm talking about. Right there. So fired him all back up.
He was like, he's from Canada. Well, he's in the United States now.
Oh, he's kind of from Canada. I don't know. I don't care what country. You're in Idaho now. And you're going to do what you do in Idaho. So he gives. He pulled the whole van over, So then, but then I kind of realized he just wanted to give his, he wanted to give his speech and thrash us a little bit, this, that, the other. And I think we have video of him.
Yeah, I got a video of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Rick has video. Rick was like, "Fuck this guy."
Yeah. Well, it was funny because he was kind of
like, "I hate cops."
No, he was just kind of more stern, and I'm like, I'm going to record this. This might be fun to, have record of. And so I pulled my phone out and I started, and then he turned and while he was talking all stern and saw me, and then oh, hi. And he introduced himself again and then just kind of charmed up because he realized he was being filmed. It was funny. You really see the difference. He really changed his tune. It's funny.
I was like, I'm a trucker. And in Canada, the older kids on the prairies, they all are taught to walk on the wrong side of the road on the shoulder. So that way they know if they really need to ditch. You know what I mean? So I do a combination of the two. I'll go with traffic when I feel like it's safe. Like if I'm going down a hill or if I'm going fast, I'm with traffic. I will, and then I'll go opposite when I need to see. And then what I'll also do is I will go back and forth. If there's no traffic on the right, I'll go to the right, let them come this way, and then I'll come back on the left and hang out on the left, the wrong side of the road, right? And then cars will come up this way, and I do this little dance, and that generally just the path of least resistance, and that's sort of what I've grown to do over time.
Yeah, a lot easier.
It's not necessarily, it does confuse some drivers. They're like, why are you on the wrong side of the road, right? And it's just like, so that way I can see your drunk ass hitting me. Like I see every beer can on the side of the road, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me how, and I also was driving, I did transport trailers, I drove fluid hauling for 5 years. So like I understand the road. I'm here for work. I'm here for play. Like so I kind of maybe get a little bit too cocky about it maybe sometimes, but
yeah, I love the phrasing of like as a skateboarder on the road, like because I do a lot of open road skateboarding too, just because that's what we have here. But we have good shoulders. We have nice roads. But it's like
Canada's good shoulders.
When I see a car, I'm like, I've driven a car a lot, right? Since I learned how to drive over a decade, right? And I've skateboarded for longer than that. I'm much more familiar with a skateboard in the road than most people driving next to me. Does that make sense? Where it's like most drivers
for sure it does.
aren't familiar with the whole skateboarder being in the road, whether they're the skateboarder or the driver. Whereas I'm very familiar. So like, I think it's better to kind of, at least where I am, where it's 25, 45 miles per hour, kind of like guide them a little bit. Let them know when it's good to pass, things like that, because they just might not know.
Yeah. But you and I have, and us, we all have like a very intimate understanding of the way that traffic works and the pavement and stuff like that the cars don't necessarily have, because they can tune out and just follow their basic instructions.
Right.
And on top of that, they're not on the road as long as we are, because we're on the roads for doing a trip 16 hours a day sometimes, right? Like, so, I mean, I call them part-timers. And when they really want to come talk to me, I'm like, hey, part-timer, how's it going? I have a class 1 driver's license, and I the highest freaking class of license you can get. And I am on the road for a solid 2 months of the year on my skateboard. So I think maybe you should defer to my understanding of what's going on instead of your assumptions, right? Because you're a part-timer and I do this full time. You know? Like
I remember as a child too, I was taught to ride my bike opposing or against traffic, just so you can see what's coming and see what's coming. You know? Mm-hmm. So we always did that as growing up. So that style of riding really helped switching back and forth, especially when you get out there to the countryside and it's a little more wide open. Not as tight. It really helps. Yeah, you can see everything and switch back and forth and a lot easier. So yeah.
Definitely.
I was impressed that they don't have kids do that in Idaho. I kind of thought that would be the prime place for them to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in the prairie here, then people are like, oh, well, it's on the wrong side of the road because that's the safest place to be, right?
Yeah. So we had to agree to that with that cop to stay on the with traffic side of the road for the rest of the trip until we got out of Idaho. So we didn't get pulled over. And we actually had two more cop, not really stops, but where cops just kind of pulled up and gave us the, hey, what are you guys doing? And they were pretty cool. One of the guys was a longboarder, one of the officers, and
oh, nice.
That's right.
Chatted it up real positive. It was, I think, one more in Idaho and then another in Oregon. I think when we got to Oregon, I think. But yeah, I didn't see any until then, which was kind of funny. I passed some of them when I was out riding, that were just stopped on the side of the road, and they just gave me a nod. I nodded to them, they nodded back, and no problem.
All right, let me read you guys another passage here. So it goes: race clock, 13 days, 23 hours, 14 minutes. We start the day picking up where we left off yesterday in Boise National Park, 25 miles out of town. The team is using the divide and conquer method this morning, where Rick starts out alone from the hotel. Miles, Paul, and Andy finish off yesterday's route in the town. Then they chase down Rick and resume full-strength relay rotations. The early morning rides are distance skateboarding nirvana. You have the road to yourself to pick the smoothest section. The sun rising reveals the scenery around you and casts long shadows of your push form on the pavement. The moon is saying its goodbye for the night, tucking itself in behind the mountain horizon. The serenity and the solitude. Your mind can just wander to any and all thoughts of life. Then the first semi-truck blasts over your shoulder and you are brought back to reality. Your attention is full alert and the day has begun.
Yeah.
That was
with the Purple Pros.
Yeah, that was the
good.
usual. The morning. Whoever got that first morning skate usually had the best skate.
That was gorgeous. That was when we left Mountain Home with that funky little hotel, that V-shaped hotel from like a 70s movie or something. But yeah, I got to skate out of town and it was just gorgeous. Like the sun came up and there was also a full moon still up in the sky. It was just beautiful, just gorgeous.
I mostly remember
hit Oregon. So we hit our final state that one. We hit our 3,000 miles too. So the rest was just cleaning up a couple hundred miles as we were going. Well, 3,000 was inside of Oregon, but we crossed the state line that day. We all got to jump out, get our Oregon sign. And so we were all excited. And somewhere we had this beef for no reason with Idaho, right? Where we started saying, well, at least you're not in Idaho with whatever.
Yeah.
About. Well, at least we're not in Idaho anymore. And for some reason, we started really ragging on Idaho for no
those crickets. They had those crickets everywhere, and they would just get like there's just like chaos. They would come out. You'd watch a car run over by like 50 crickets, and the crickets would all scuttle over and start eating the dead crickets.
We had some trouble with Idaho because we had the cop experience, and also it was like the one inland desert we skated across.
Yeah.
And I was
also
super
bleeding.
hot.
I was also bleeding the whole time.
Paul was road rashed.
Like I was soaking all of your towels in plasma.
And this is where it really became apparent that I would skate like 5 to 10 miles of the worst pavement I've skated in my life. And like get to the end of it and the road would like miraculously become a clear, beautiful downhill.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We were right by the Oregon Trail that were.
Yeah. Miles, for some reason, on this section, this day, got hosed out of every good ride. He would have to push some uphill, and then it would be like, my turn. And then I would have, one of those perfect, maybe just like 5
1 degree
downhills. Yeah. Like you're just going 20, 25 miles an hour, and the asphalt was like perfect. It was the magic carpet ride, and you were just like, this is great.
I thought you died that day.
And it would be Miles' turn again. Oh, Miles, you got to again. And he's like, this is bullshit.
Don't tell Miles how good it was.
yeah, we said that. But there was one section where Miles, we kind of like, you guys had to wait for him, and I went ahead, and I swear to God, it was one of my longest legs of the trip. Like, I was going, and I got into it because I had done my 5-mile warm-up, so now I'm finally hitting my race pace. And I think I did like 16 miles or something, and then they finally caught up to me, like, wow, you did a lot, right? And I was like, I fucking thought Miles was dead. I thought that you guys were just going to come get me and be like, let's go to the hospital, right? Because there was some hills and shit, and Miles was all the bad stuff. And I was frazzled though. Like I was actually starting to panic, right?
Yeah, that was in Oregon.
Because you had such bad luck that you were held up that much.
Yeah, that was going through the step-off section. That was the step-off section of the down mountains. Yeah.
Yeah, Ochico National Forest, I think.
So from that one was there was a lot of cool passes in Oregon. The John Day, everything was called John Day for some reason. Obviously, he's a settler.
Important.
So the John Day Pass was pretty gorgeous. There was very gorgeous gorges that we were skating all through and stuff like that. And
it was like 110 degrees.
It was hot. It was hot. I
Fahrenheit.
remember that days it was getting pretty hot and it was pretty still. And then
You
we had
look like you were getting heat stroke. And I was like, the guy from fucking Florida is dying of heat exhaustion, Jack. Do you think you can maybe not turn off the van and keep the air conditioning running? And he's like, well, I didn't want to save the power. I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter if the guy from Florida dies from heat exhaustion, right? And he was like, oh, and then he kept the van on for those legs.
You know that your classic frugal parent versus kid arguments that would kind of ensue, you know, with the, leave the van running. I was saving on gas. You should be quiet back there. You fucking give us some AC, goddammit, you know. But anyways,
Jack and Paul had a very special relationship.
They did. Fan. It was exciting for us to watch. I'll tell you
that was a lovely way to put it.
Exciting for us to watch a lot. But so Oregon, we hit the Cascades. Well, I think they call those mountain the Three Sisters or something. You know,
going through Sisters and Redmond. Yeah.
Yeah, gorgeous.
I was recharged because I was back home again where I grew up. I was just like, I was ready to go.
Area. We dispatched the Cascades really easy too. I think after just being, doing the Tetons, Appalachians actually were the hardest. That tell you the truth, was the Appalachians. But the Cascades, we kind of no problem, just like just brush that right off our shoulder. And then hit our 3,000 mile mark there. And then we came into a town. We were basically, let me see, we were running about day 16, 1 hour, 40 minutes. And we were 210 miles to finish to Newport, Oregon, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where we almost had
getting into it.
We had a mutiny almost on our hands here.
We're getting into it.
And let me put this. Let me see how the best way we can explain this one. You have 210 miles left. We all signed on for this to set a fastest known time,
and we worked our butts off the last 2 or 3 days. We were making up miles.
We were doing good. We're hitting 200s. We were doing good, and we were on a stretch. We were like, let's end this clock. Let's finish this thing. We got this. We can do this thing. We surpassed our 14-day one that we thought, but we were like, we can stop this in 16 days or whatever. And with a 210 miles, I'm like, that's it. We've been hitting 200 milers. I'm like, let's just. Hey, Jack, even if we have to push a little bit in the dusk or whatever, let's just do it. Let's do it and end it because that's what we were here for. We were here to do an FKT of this thing. And Jack had other plans. Jack didn't want to, he wanted to break that up into 2 days, 2 short days. And it was kind of a tough pill to swallow, especially being that he wanted a different kind of reception coming into to Newport, to Oregon. He wanted the mayor to be there. I say this kind of jokingly, the marching band. We didn't have a marching band, but to have like some publicity there and the mayor to greet us and all this. The mayor couldn't greet us on the day we wanted to finish. He wanted to meet us the next day. So essentially we were foregoing what was, our performance to try to, set this thing, a day earlier. And we kind of got chopped off at the knees on it because he was like, no, let's wait for the mayor the next day. And we're like, we don't give a fuck about the mayor or any of this stuff. Like, we want to stop the clock. That's what we were about.
Sure.
And so Jack had other ideas. And so that night before we skated in, we had a tough time. We started having some drinks in the hotel in the rooms together. And, so we got a little fired up amongst ourselves and we almost threw a mutiny. Miles, you wanna elaborate?
I mean, we were together as a team for the entire ride, and to come, within 50 miles of the finish line on this FKT we'd set and be held up, by no desire of the people actually riding was a tough pill to swallow. And Rick was actually the voice of reason in here. It's Andy, Paul, and I were ready to go like completely rogue, like fuck it, we're grabbing our stuff, we're skating overnight, we'll be waiting there for him when we get to town. And
we were just gonna go skate it that night and finish the 50 miles and stop the clock. And then just be like, hey, okay, we'll do a fake ride-in for this,
skate again.
Mayor and whatever the hell else. But we want to stop the clock. And we were really close to jumping, to just grabbing our boards and going and skating it that night.
I can understand why. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
we
what
I've
did
never
Rick,
been one to revel in. Sorry, yeah, you guys.
what was Rick's words of reason that climbed that got you back down? And
We just knew that it would be such a bridge burner. I think
right,
we did that.
Yeah.
We just thought it would have finished it in such, although we were frustrated, I think that would have like really kind of left a nasty mark on something that was really epic, and we were having a lot of fun and whatever. And I guess
Yeah.
it was something for us to reflect at ourselves and be like, okay, sometimes it's not about, the numbers and stuff like that. Although that's what we were, it's hard to tell, us that are competitive, distant skaters that like don't stop thinking about, the record or whatever. And it was hard for us not to do that. And so, so Rick kind of talked us off the ledge, and he was kind of the voice of reason of just like, guys, if we do this, it's gonna leave a nasty mark on this in the end, and we're all going to be very, he's going to be mad at us, and we'll be upset at him and stuff like that. And so we decided like, hey, it is what it is, guys. We'll swallow our pride, of what we kind of wanted to do. It's okay,
Yeah.
and let's finish this correctly, and we'll ride into town for our marching band. And the funny thing is the mayor who gave us the keys to Newport. What did we reach?
He was disgraced. He was dismissed. It
was like the next day.
A disgraceful dismissal. Like the next business day. It was a disgraceful dismissal for him being like super racist in Facebook messages, right? But what Rick said, he didn't really lead us, but he said what he said was thought provoking, right? And it was just like. It was like something around the line of, is this how you want to end it? Like, I'll do what you guys do, but is this how we want to end it? Or something to that effect, right? Like, and you didn't really need to say much. We could see the conflict in his face, and it did ground us. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it though. I want to be the fastest guy too. I want, I wanted to set the FKT and have it something that'd be hard to beat. And it was something we could have finished up. We could have done it, but that last day was that last day though. That was the 6 hours or whatever. That was really cool because we got to ride in like the last mile or something all together, and I felt like a 12-year-old with my buddies, tearing through the neighborhoods. It was the best. It was so fun.
Because we did get lost a little bit, didn't we? In Newport, I think we started skating around. We're like, I don't know.
We're like, wait, which way do we go?
There was a bank. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, the bank told Paul that he couldn't skate out in the parking lot. It was classic.
Yeah, because I was waiting for him. As I skated, I did the second last leg, right? Because it was a lot of fast downhill, and then I stopped at the bank, and I was just farting around doing nose manuals and flipping the board around, and like, and then they were like, "You can't skate here," and I was just like, I forget what I said.
On the last day too, just like
the last leg, like we had to do was find the beach. Like we were in Newport. Yeah.
And then you guys dipped into the water, right? You went all.
We all did. Yeah. We all went in. We skated. We not only did we dip our waters, and I skated. We were able to into the water.
Yeah, we were able to skate. The sand was low tide. It was like, let's go.
Down. Low tide. It was packed down, and you could skate. Yeah. So we skated our boards right into the water. Just dipped them all in, and took a splash in there, and and the four of us were down there celebrating with each other, and just and we didn't die. And we didn't die.
And we didn't die. No one died.
We did not die. Yeah. It was the best.
Wow.
I guess I can say that we have the FKT on this run, and collectively we believe it could be done faster than we did it.
Oh yeah.
You could do this in 2 weeks. I encourage someone to go fucking do it in 2 weeks. You can have our record, but you're gonna have to bleed for it.
There you go. Not gonna be easy. Yeah.
I actually wore my freaking one of my foot knuckles all the way to the bursal sack on a crash, and that was uncomfortable pushing on that for the rest of it. Like you could see the bag that housed the ligament. You know what I mean? It was gross. Yeah.
Miles, that brings up kind of a question I wanted to ask each of you before as kind of a way to cap this off, which is, what were your goals? Like each of you, like what were your goals going into it? And then if you were to do it again, would you do it differently? Like, and that could be doing a skate across America differently. It doesn't have to be the same relay method, maybe a different relay method, or a solo, or as a group, or maybe something else entirely. Like, so yeah, what were your goals going into it, and then how would you do it differently, if at all? We'll start with Miles again because that's how we did the intro.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're all competitive skaters and have been, and we all have our personal victories and personal achievements. And in my mind, like skating across a continent is gnarly. Like that is something, we're part of a club of like maybe 40 people who have ever done this. Um, and just the sense of adventure and the sense of seeing the country in a different way than by car. And, I think that skateboarding is probably the worst way to cross America, short of like roller skates.
Yeah.
Yeah, and walking would have been better because it doesn't matter if the pavement sucks.
True. Yeah, true.
As we're out there and it's like, oh, look at this beautiful 500-mile gravel bike trail that goes straight across the state. It's like, yeah, we can't do any of that. But yeah, the goal was to explore the edges, beyond a 24-hour race. Like, how deep can we go? How hard can we dig to make this happen? And I know we all like learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about teamwork. We became very close, and this is an experience that we will have forever. Were we to do it differently, and we've talked about it, we would, of course, go from west to east. We would structure our support a little differently. We would probably have like an RV and a van, so so we could have someone go ahead and like set up a camp in an RV park and like get meals ready for us and take because the planning load was hard when you're in it and you're building the boat and sailing it and everybody's fucking sick and exhausted and in the rain. So like having an extra support person who could have helped with the logistics of everything would have been great. And, we really didn't push for sponsorship here. We paid for this out of pocket. We had some sponsors and we're appreciative of them. We should probably list them all off at some point. So I'm not saying we had no help. But we all went really far out of pocket for this, and this was a big sacrifice for everybody to make this trip. So were we to do it again, I would, push for the route plan is just the best it is, but a little more support, a little more sponsorship, a little more publicity, because it was a hell of a trip. We learned a lot.
Hell yeah. Well put. Well put. Rick, would you add anything to that in terms of your goals or doing things differently?
I don't know. I'd try to be younger if I could do that, but that's not going to happen, Be 60 in a week, but no, I really, I don't know what I would change. I can agree with Miles with, some of the things as far as, the RV support to go along with us, because that way we could settle in. We could maybe ride a little later and then settle into our spot and not have to hunt around for that hotel and all that. I can agree with that. Not a whole lot, and the west to east, I think, would make a big difference, really. But I don't know. It was such an honor to be a part of this group and maybe take some more moleskin for my blister I had got on my foot. But yeah, honored to be part of this.
What about you, Paul?
Vans are really expensive. They're very expensive. So, I mean, I would do it again. The thing is it's going to be way faster. But, I mean, I'm looking at potentially doing another Cross Canada one or doing a proper Cross Canada one, a solo, and then I'll probably just run a backpack, although my girlfriend really wants to drive for part of it and support. But, yeah, I mean, a crew trip, we lucked out that we are all really good with each other, and we're all like we work. I feel like we work together well as a team. So we couldn't have done. I don't think we could have done much better there, right? Like, I do think obviously just logistics was the big thing personally, and not everybody's with me on this, but personally, I do 40% of my riding at night because of traffic, and you know what, like. Is it smart? No. I've almost crashed into a bison. You know what I mean? Like on the road.
That sounds like a Canada problem.
Like, yeah. But like, so it's not necessarily the best thing. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. Like, I'm actually so scared when I'm doing that, but I do it anyways. I don't know why, because I'm an idiot. But I think if I was going to do an RV again and I was going to have a crew, like a team, we're going to have a team going, I would volunteer to be at least a late evening or an early morning shift. Maybe we all sleep at the same for like a 3-hour window, but have somebody go out early and do a really long thing, and somebody go out late, stay out late, and then the van or an RV would let you sleep while other people are skating to kind of recoup. I think that could really optimize things, right? Yeah. And then for what I have planned, I'm going to probably try to do a 10,000 kilometer route.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I think the
It's
night
gonna
skating
suck.
thing is valid. A lot of people skate at night for training. Like I have to in the winter, and
Yeah.
like Dutch ultra skate, you need headlamps, right? So like it's not a foreign concept, I think, but the open road aspect makes it super sketchy, right?
Yeah. I will say this, like, North America is safer because everybody has their headlights on. Yeah, they at least have to have your daylight running lights for most vehicles, right? You go when I was in Bolivia, it was people wouldn't at that time wouldn't run their lights at nighttime because they didn't understand their batteries would recharge. So there was this culture of people not who would be drunk on miners alcohol driving home from the mines without their headlights on. So we only did one night at nighttime.
Yikes. What?
But that's the thing, is you do have to be really tuned in. You can't be too tired and because you have to be listening for the car that's driving with their e-brake slightly suppressed. You know what I mean? And there's a lot more drunk drivers, and then you've got the wildlife thing. The animals are more likely to be out in the road. Some of those animals will hurt you. Ungulates will actually screw you over. They'll mess you up, man. People don't think that, maybe don't think that an animal that eats plants isn't going to kill you, but they could if they think that you're coming for them, right? Or you're coming for them too fast because you're bombing a hill shirtless in the middle of the night in the Yukon. I don't know who would ever do that, but
I think we know. Nice.
That's all.
Andy, anything you took away from this that you think maybe do it differely, or you accomplish any goals you had going in?
First, I think you were talking about the takeaways on this, and it's been 2 years removed now. So obviously, with that, when you reminisce or you look back, the human mind is always good at taking away the traumatic and leaving you with the nice side of things. It's why we're idiots and we keep doing ultras over and over again, because you forget all the hard part and you always constantly remember all the goods. And I'm glad the human mind does that, because I look back on this journey, and I just love the camaraderie with these guys. These 4 guys, they were great. You form a bond with other people, and they say it happens in very tough situations, people at war or whatever, not to compare this to war, but it's that same kind of thing. When you go out and you suffer together with somebody, that person becomes your brother for life. Like, you guys are going to be like telepathically connected for the rest of your life. And that was one of the biggest things that I knew I was going to get from this. I knew that the 4 of us going out and doing this together, that there was going to be this special brother bond that was going to happen, and that we would all cherish to the day we die. So that was the ultimate thing of what I was really looking for. Yes, hitting the numbers where we wanted to hit them would have been the cherry on top, but we didn't get that. Yes, we set the FKT, but we know that it can be done faster. So that leads me into the whole layout of this style of crossing the United States. I personally like it. I think it's I like, the start and end point that Jack Smith has. They've done it before. This whole leapfrog relay 4-person. I think it's a great system. That's kind of already kind of now it's a little bit established since it's been going on and on over the past shift
longer than as long as anyone's been skating across continents.
Which was part of that was part of the neat thing was when Jack called me up and told me, hey, you want to do this thing. I said, Jack, do you know that the first time you guys skated across America in June of 1976, that was the month and year I was born. I was like, it was fitting that that all these years later, 40 something years later, that like I'm on board and doing it now. But I like the whole format. I like the format. I would love other people to just stick to this format and do exactly how we did. Now, like everybody was saying, you can dial some stuff in here. And I don't even mind the whole skating just daytime and just skating, daylight hours for the safety and sticking to those rules. But there's you can definitely do this in under 2 weeks. And it would take probably a little more financial support because like we said, you have a chase fan that's doing the riders, but at the end of the day, if you have like an RV or a place that's just waiting for you right as soon as you're done and you have a place to eat, shower, sleep all in one place and get up the next morning and get back in that chase fan and start going instead of the drive back this way or drive there and rely on a town. That would be the quintessential. That one would dial this in to very, you boom, 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 you're just going, you're getting it done. And I think this thing could come down to, somewhere between 12 and 14 days of this crossing could happen with just, with and maybe some certain road selections, especially if somebody's, kind of can remember the path we did and go like X that part out and don't mess up and go this way. And if you kind of lay out the path exactly to a T that and you're like, hey, there's no other better way. Yes, this area sucks, but eat it. And, you got something better here. And if you can lay out the path, dialed in very good, I think you can, somebody down the road can crush this thing. So, but nonetheless, for now, I'm super proud of these guys. I love all these dudes, and man, it was a great experience. And even 2 years removed, I still think back on it, and I'm like, man, that was fucking rad. Jack Smith took us out for a cross country, skate. I love it.
Yeah, and like Jack is like he friggin' did it first, and I remember we would be talking about him like on my first trips. My proper skate packing trips, we'd be around a little campfire or something, just talking up Jack, right? Like, so Jack, when Jack mentioned it, it was just like, hell yes. Yes.
I think
want to be, being a footnote even in Jack's story is an accomplishment as far as I'm concerned. So I was pretty happy.
I think Jack is taking off from Oregon on a motorcycle to go cross country today, I think.
Is it today?
Oh, wow.
It's today. Okay, we're there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Someone had mentioned sponsors. Does anyone know what they all were off the top of their head? We can list them off.
The biggest sponsors would be, we have Tailwind, but the feed, Beyond Riders, Vibram, Junk, Handboards, Riptide, Supskate, Pantheon, Orangutan, Loaded, Peterson Company, and Burley Skate. And then we were doing it. The charity that was helping us out with promotion was the Invisible Disabilities Association, or invisibledisabilities.org. And that was, those were the main.
And Handboards in there. You said Don Sandusky, the big sponsor.
He sponsors with the
He
paddle.
was the biggest. He was actually the biggest sponsor by far.
Cheers to Don.
He covered gas for the whole trip, which was like he didn't have to, but he did because he's so awesome. And then he also did all this extra logistical stuff for us too, right? Like he gave us a warehouse. He gave us his warehouse to like have all of our stuff mailed in advance and stuff like that, and drove it down to us. Like, so he was wonderful. No, I can't. I think I would have been in trouble if it wasn't for Don. Like, Yeah.
You mentioned Dylan, who's Jack's son, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Jack himself, obviously. Is there any other shout outs or anyone else you want to thank that took part in this kind of behind the scenes?
I mean, our families that had to endure us being gone for 2 weeks and listening to us being cranky all the time.
Yeah. My wife Wendy showed up and she had like a race finish checkered flag at the end that was waving for us. That was cool.
Yeah. Mel, and then Miles had somebody show up for a bit. Yeah. And
Thanks, Claire. Thanks for driving down.
Yeah.
She brought us the vitamins and the she helped cure the pandemic. Provided some much needed emotional support.
Andy's partner made that super cool spinning wheel thing for us, and and then
Conan Gay showed up to visit us for a meal when we got to Oregon too. So that was cool.
That's right. Yeah, Conan Gay. And then Brad and Tracy showed up too at the end.
Brad and Tracy, that's right. They took us out that night at in Portland, Newport, and they took us out for a fun night. So,
Randy, thanks, Randy.
Yeah, Randy.
Randy,
the bike shop.
Al Copus came out to hang out with us.
Al,
Al was there at the evening. He had pizza with me. Yeah.
Shout out to Jeff, Pantheon Jeff. He put us all on a Pantheon board that we could use to skate across. Now, talking about, we can go down a whole nother rabbit hole on gear and stuff like that. And personally, I usually almost ride G-Bomb exclusively. I love his brackets and stuff like that. I want the most simple setup. I don't want to do brackets and, because just the more stuff you got, the more things that can fail. So Jeff, thank you for putting us on one of your boards.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I rode my Supersonic probably 95% of the trip, I think.
Yeah.
And he gave us money too. He gave us a bit of money for expenses as well.
Wow.
Thanks to G-Bomb Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark hooked me up with bearings too. That was awesome.
Yeah,
bearings.
Thanks, Mark.
I was just going to say bearings. Yeah.
We went through a lot of bearings.
I actually had a personal hookup with Bones. Sorry, Mark, but I still appreciate the support for the team. Yeah.
Every group's got one, huh?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's
gotta be different.
Bones and Era.
So nonetheless, it takes a village. It takes a village to get four knuckleheads across the United States.
Certainly didn't get there on your own. But yeah, you did a lot of work.
It would have taken longer.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been.
You would have had to camp actually instead of.
We might have had maybe we would have had a fight amongst us if it was that long. I don't know.
It was like so profoundly difficult that for the first 6 months, people were like, "Oh my God, you skateboard across America. How was it?" I was like, "It's fucking terrible. Never do it." And I realized that's not the story people want to hear when you do something like that.
They get so disappointed.
Yeah,
we got a couple years.
I was not encouraging to anybody. I was like, I don't like your life expectancy drops dramatically.
Oh yeah, I don't know. You get 8 of these.
You start skateboarding on open roads across this whole freaking nation. It's just you realize you're playing some Russian roulette out there.
Yeah, I you know what? I'm of two minds here. Sometimes people want to hear the suffering though. But you just gotta present it the right way. I mean, but you are right. If you were like, "How was it?" and you're like, "It was terrible," then they feel bad. But they also want you to be like, "I loved every moment, and it was so bad, and I had cholera," and they'd be like, "Yeah." They want to hear that you were fighting for your life, and so I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Well, hey, thanks, fellas, for coming on and taking your time out of your day for this. I think this is really great, and hopefully it was good for you too to kind of reflect after. After this much
anytime
time.
with these guys is lovely.
Yeah, that was fun. Love you guys.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you, Max. Yeah, thanks for doing the labor of love now and editing the 8 hours of video and audio feeds.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, fucking killer.
Good chatting, guys.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice to meet
See you
you.
later.
Max, thank you.
Your face, Max, and everyone else. Yeah, it's really nice to see your faces again too. Miss you
It
guys a
really
lot.
is, man. We
Wish I
gotta.
didn't live so far away, and yeah, they're like turning away Canadians when they're really dirtbaggy. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go hiking for 2 months, which is, they're like, no, you're not coming into the country at all for 5 years. Get away. So I'm scared to cross the border. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm scared to cross the border right now.
You can always list my address in Minnesota as where you're staying for as long as you need to stay here. I'll like give them the old wink for you.
I don't know if that's better though. Like, yeah. They're like, they just want to see that I'm trying to get home as fast as possible. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, y'all. Well, this has been good. Thanks for putting it together. Thank you, Max. Thank you, everybody. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you all.
Love you guys.
Bye.